We are live here on the webinar. We're live on Facebook. We have people rolling in. I would love to see where everyone is coming to us from. So if you can just post in the chat. I don't see the chat for some reason. There it is. The chat in the bottom of the screen. What city, state, and brokerage you're with, and how many years that you have been in business. I love seeing where everyone is coming from, and also love seeing, how many years you guys have been in business. I have our fabulous Camilla Temu with us here. We're going to be talking all things transaction portal, our transaction portal related. So that's going to be fantastic. So
Yes.
welcome, Camilla.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I feel like we have a lot of fun stuff to talk to everyone about, and I think everyone's going to enjoy today's webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is so our transaction portal. If you guys are have been a Wise Agent member for some time, you guys have probably seen this in the menu drop down from transactions. You guys have probably noticed it over the years, and maybe you kind of clicked on it and were like, oh, I wonder what this does, and kind of was curious about it. It has been a tool that we've had for many years, and most recently we have updated it. We knew it needed an update. It needed a little
Facelift.
or zhuzhing. That was one of my mother-in-law's words, was zhuzhing. It just needed to be zhuzhed up a little bit, and so it just needed a little bit of help there on the look, and we've added some functionality to it. So Camilla and I are going to talk about that added functionality and the reason why you would be using this, and even how we use it internally. So I think this will be a great informative session for you guys today. So
Definitely.
Camilla, maybe you can explain to everyone how you see people, how you see agents, brokers. I'm just reading, sorry. Agents and brokers, I was like, oh, someone said they can't hear, but okay. How agents and brokers would be using the transaction portal.
Definitely. I think one of the main ways that I see agents who are currently using our transaction portal feature use it is if they want to share what's going on in a transaction with all parties. So whether it's a client that they're working with and they want to keep them in the loop of, all of the showings that they've had so far, or any of the offers they've received, the portal is a great way of sharing that with your clients so they stay in the know of all the actions that you're taking on their transaction. And then as far as working in a team, if you want to keep your broker in the know, if you want to keep, maybe your transaction coordinator in the loop of what's going on. And mainly we see a lot of transaction coordinators actually using the portal to share updates with agents so they know, any documents that have recently been signed and what are those next actions that need to happen. So it's a great tool to use to keep everyone and all parties involved in a transaction in the know of what's going on without having to bombard them with emails or phone calls.
Yeah. And I hear that a lot. And both Camilla and I we're on the consumer side of things a lot of the time, right? During the transaction process. When we talk about transactions, neither one of us are agents. And so coming at it even from a consumer perspective, like when you're, selling a property, there's nothing more like kind of bringing up more anxiety for a consumer than like, okay, do they love the house? What do they think? What's the feedback? And what's this? And they all sellers have that kind of anxiousness of hearing that feedback and having all of that being relayed to them. And a lot of times they want it in real time or just immediately, and they want to be able to see it, at any given point of the day, right? Like If it were me, it would have to be like, let me know at like 1 a.m. when I'm not doing anything, right? When I'm not so busy.
Exactly. And then I think for the agent, it just puts them at ease of not having to, think, oh, did I send my client that update email, or did I send them these documents? Did I send them that text message? It's like, you have it all live on that portal. So once you invite a client to view your portal, they'll have access to those items that you upload, and any notes that you update, they'll have that access, like you said, in real time. So that's the nice thing as well.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone wants, I mean, the day that we live in today, like in these times that we're in, where you can have, coffee delivered to your office in the morning, right when you get there,
Yeah.
right? Dinner's ready, your groceries are at your door when you get home in the evening. I mean, all these things, car is ready and waiting for you and warm when you're walking out of the hotel room to go to your event. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're going through a life like that, and no one is waiting for things, right? Why should your consumer, why should your buyer or seller be waiting to hear from you? And so we wanted to give you guys that, kind of be able to relay that experience to your buyers and sellers, so
Yeah.
you can give them the information that they need right away without them having to wait. And so I think that is something that's like so important right now, that communication just happens rapidly and efficiently. So then when you're taking the notes down, you don't have to, oh, I have to send them this and I have to do this. It's kind of like that. It doesn't need to happen that way. And so
Yeah.
we are going to kind of answer a couple of people's questions, because they're coming through really quickly here on the Zoom. Yes, we're going to show you today how you will do this. So we'll kind of demo it for you a little
Yeah.
bit, just to show you guys how it will work, because I think it's really important to be able to understand, how do you communicate, really effectively and efficiently without having it to take and consume up all of your time.
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
that's a big problem for a lot of agents. So
Yeah.
Camilla, do you want to share your screen and kind of go over a little bit how the
Yes.
transaction portal works? And it does, just so you guys kind of like, just to fill you in, you do need to use the Wise Agent checklist in order for this to work.
Yeah.
So Camilla's going to go through it here.
Definitely. Yes. So as Eleni mentioned, in order to use a portal feature, you do need to use a transaction checklist feature within Wise Agent. So under the transactions drop-down menu here, you'll find all of the different checklist features that we offer. So the first thing, of course, is that template that's created. And I saw one of the questions in there is, does Wise Agent offer checklist creation? You guys sent us a lot of great questions, and I'm hoping we get to answer all of those throughout this webinar. So yes, Wise Agent does offer those checklists for you, and they're pre-designed templates in the system for you. So you're able to create those checklists for a buyer or for a listing that you may have. And so we have those pre-designed for you. So then once you actually have that transaction with a client, then you can come into the system and create that checklist. And so over here within this account, I have these 2 active checklists. So we're going to work with Rachel, the agent. That's going to be our account for today, is Rachel. And so she has a seller that she's working with, Michael Phelps. And so she's logged into her Wise Agent account, and she's gone in and she's created a checklist using one of those templates to track his listing transaction. So as the agent, you're using your CRM, you're logging into it every day to come in here and manage your transaction from start to finish. You're going to come in here and add in those critical dates that you have. So those deadlines, and then all of those important fields that you need to keep track of during the transaction process, and then all of those tasks or to-do items that you need to complete during, when you're listing the property, while it's being marketed, and then once it goes under contract, all of those tasks that you need to complete, you're keeping track of that within the CRM. Now, as you're keeping track of all of this, you're probably wondering, okay, how am I going to get this information, sent off to my client, Michael, who's my seller? Or how am I going to keep my broker in the know of what's going on with my transaction? And that's where the portals kick in, where that's going to help you keep all parties involved within that transaction.
And I'm going to stop you right there, Camilla, because I think you bring up a great point, because we were talking a little bit earlier about, keeping your clients informed of what's happening, but keeping your broker is informed of things is just as important, right?
Yeah.
So keeping your broker, maybe your team lead, or if you're a transaction coordinator, keeping your agent, in the loop on what's happening. That's a great way of it's a great way of communicating for anyone that's involved in this. I think, and I think this is a great way of mentioning it, is how it could relate to anyone. So it can, because you can assign people to see different things and to view them in different ways, right?
Yeah, so you'll be able to set permission on your portal of what information is shared across the board to anyone that you give access to this portal. So that's a great thing too, because if there's any sensitive information, obviously, that you don't want out there to specific people, you can just turn off that view on that specific item within the system, and I'll show you that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. So once you have that checklist created and you're working through it, again, you're logging into your CRM every day, you're updating your checklist. Now you want to make sure that you're keeping either Michael, who's your seller, in the loop, or like Eleni mentioned, your transaction coordinator is the one in here, and they want to keep you in the loop of what's going on with this listing. So over here on the gear icon, I'm able to come to the transaction portal, and this is going to take me to the manage portal page for this checklist. So over here, I'm able to create my portal where I can create a welcome message. So you can actually add a custom message here that anyone who enters your portal will be able to see that message right away. And then of course, for that property that's connected to this transaction, when you have that in Wise Agent, it'll pull any of those characteristics to this section here where it says property information. And then of course you can update that information on the screen. And then if you have images uploaded into Wise Agent, that will show up on your portal as well as a slideshow.
Yeah.
So
And I love this because that welcome message is going to greet whoever you give access to this. So this can be, we're talking about selling 145, Kahlua Lane, and we're going to
yeah,
be doing, and it could be all about all of this whole entire property, and just giving them a welcome message and this greeting, because because they can bookmark this page, and you actually kind of want to encourage that. So you can even put that in here in your welcome message, like feel free to bookmark this page to access it at a later date. Anytime that you're wanting to see an update, you can access it through here. So it's great to have that kind of messaging there.
exactly. And that was something that a lot of our members previously who were using this feature had requested, because before we had a default message there. So that's something that's a new addition, is now you can actually customize that message and really make sure that you're letting anyone you share it to know that, hey, this page is for you. You're able to log into this at any time to see those updates in real time.
Right.
So did you have something else you were going to say?
I was going to say, I'm like, should I bring it up now or should I bring it up
Yeah.
later? Because one of the things, like, so we were just talking about comparing it to what it used to do. One
Yeah.
of the things was previously, before the update, it was just intended for anyone that was using that had a Wise Agent account. So it was from an agent to an agent, or agent to title rep or lender that was also using Wise Agent. And now you can have your clients that might not have a Wise Agent account, or, somebody else from, that involved in the transaction that doesn't have a Wise Agent account now can view this, which was a really a highly requested feature and add-on.
Yeah. So as you're coming in here to customize that portal, I mean, you're able to update your label. So what is your role in that transaction? So you're able to put that. So are you the listing agent? Are you the lender, title, whatever it may be, you're able to put in your label here as your role. One thing that we're big on teaching our members to do is making sure you stay consistent with your brand. So the portal theme allows you to do that. You're able to make sure that that portal that you're sharing out to your clients or to your broker, whoever it may be, that you're still staying consistent with your brand. So you're able to create a unique theme for your portal, so that it has your brand colors, it has your company logo. And so anytime someone logs into that portal page, they're able to see that, okay, this is Rachel, I see her company logo, I see all of her contact information, and they can still connect with you on social media if they need to, because you have those icons down there on your portal page. So again, that's going to be the theme, and that's going to help you stay consistent again with your branding when you share out that portal page to your clients.
Yeah, love it.
Yes. Now, once you have that portal created, we mentioned this a little bit earlier, is that you can create permissions. So you can set permissions on what's viewable. So that's again important, because sometimes you might have notes on there, information on there that you don't want necessarily shared out to the public. So you can set permissions on what is viewable on your portal. So this is an easy page for you to come to where you can set, okay, I want to make sure all of these critical dates are visible, or these tasks are viewable to anyone who has access to this page. Or again, those documents at the very bottom, you're able to set who has access to view those documents. So it's not just, anyone, it's a free for all and anyone can download these documents on that
Right.
page.
Right. And that's something that's really important, that it's just customized to however you see fit. And we have always kind of held that standard at Wise Agent, that it's something that if, however you run your business, for you to see fit with it, we'll give you, we'll kind of give you everything, and you kind of just figure out which pieces that you need, and what permissions you need to set and who to give that to. So I love that.
Exactly. Yes. So going back to that portal manager, now that you've gone in, you've created your portal, you've set your theme, and you've set your permissions on what items you want to be visible, you can preview how your web portal page looks like. So before you share it out to anyone, I'm always big on saying preview what you're sending out to your clients before actually sharing it. So again, you're able to hit that view web page button so you could see how that portal will look like to the consumer. And then that title, that label that you created, that's going to be your actual checklist that you have and all of those items that you've made viewable. So this would be that web page in that preview of what the consumer would see. And then those tasks, again, they'll be here where they'll be able to see what you've completed in real time and the date that you've completed them on. And then they're also able to download any of these documents here that you've made visible on that portal.
Yeah, which is, this is the one thing that I really love too, even from a consumer standpoint, but also from the agent's perspective, where it's, that people are like downloading things, and then it's like, what folder did I put it in? What, was I on my phone when I watched it? Where was I? And so now they have access to something where throughout the whole entire transaction, and even beyond, if you keep it as an active page, that they can come back to you and say, oh, here's my, this is the agreement, this is the addendum, this is the whatever, all these different files. So they could even use this as their storage in the interim until everything is finalized, and saying, okay, well, maybe there's, a negotiation happening, and so the agreement is assigned, or maybe there's multiple deals and you want them to be able to see all of the contracts, and you're doing it over Zoom, and then you want to be able to give them, hey, here's a place where you can come back and see all of them in one place. Maybe the decision makers are in different locations around the country or the world, where they would be able to come to one spot and see everything. So that's kind of, I think that's something that's needed in this world that we live in right now.
Definitely. And that pretty much sums it up as far as what that purpose is of the portal, is having all that information in one central location so that anyone who's involved can easily access it at any time and even refer back to it, and making sure they have all those important documents and any of those notes from this transaction.
Yeah, I love that.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So going back to that manager for the portal, now you'll be able to actually share it out to either your client. So if I wanted to share this out to Michael Phelps, or to, send this to another agent, or maybe if I wanted to have, the title involved and see their transaction checklist on my portal, then I can send a join code to that third party by clicking here, and then either inviting them as a collaborator. So if they're someone who uses Wise Agents, I'm able to add them as a collaborator. So then our portions of the transaction will live on one portal together. So that's the purpose of inviting a collaborator, is if another agent, or let's say, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's take it as an example. Maybe I'm the buyer's agent and you're the seller's agent, or maybe I'm the lender and you're the buyer's agent. I can, and I have my checklist on my end where you could see where the process is on my side.
Exactly.
And then, maybe from buyer to seller agents, it won't work because of confidentiality that you want to keep there, but you could, if you want to kind of keep some things, just kind of going along the way. and giving the right permissions, but yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, one of the most ways that I see two, real estate professionals using it at once is like the buyer's agent and then also the lender. I see that a lot of times on one portal page,
Yeah.
just to show what's been done through that transaction.
Yeah. Or even transaction coordinators and their agents, having
Yes.
that is a big one. But then we use it here internally. So like Camilla's our customer support and training manager. And so when we have new employees, we want to, what steps have taken on the onboarding process of a new employee. So maybe even from the, maybe broker owner perspective to like the recruiter in the office that's recruiting agents, you could have like, hey, so these are all the steps that I've taken for the recruiting process, and the recruit has done, fulfilled X, Y, and Z. And now the two can really see and communicate without having to take, that extra step of like sending the Slack or the email or the text or stopping by the office or calling or whatnot. I mean, I always appreciate it when I can just see it whenever I need to see it, and not being bombarded with a bunch of Slack messages.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
the last thing that you want to happen is like, let's say you're on a time crunch and you need to take an action and you're waiting for another party who's involved to let you know if they've done X, Y, and Z. You could just log in to that portal and see, oh, they have that completed, or, oh, they uploaded this document. I can go ahead and continue on with my next steps.
Yeah.
So that's the nice thing about that as well.
Yeah. And so we do have a question, Camilla, on can you set different permissions for different people in the transaction? So
So
yes.
so at this time right now, it's going to be those permissions. So when I went on that permissions page, it's going to be a global setting where anyone who has that portal shared to them, they're going to have those same permissions. That's a great question though, because I can see where you might want to have different level of permissions, but currently right now it's going to be that global setting where it's one permission for one portal.
Yeah. And Donna, that is something that I've even brought up because I do sometimes need to have several people even on a portal that I start with my team here. I'm like, okay, I want some people to see this stuff and I want other people to see this. So even from that perspective where you can have multiple sets of permissions like we do with inside team members, that would be something that later on down the road we'll be kind of investigating and going, deeper dive into figuring that out for you guys.
Yes, good question. Good question. Okay, so now that we've completed that process of creating that portal, we've edited our permissions, we've also set our theme, you're able to invite those collaborators to work with you. You can also, again, send your add viewer access. So that's going to be more so your client. So viewers is anyone who's not really using Wise Agent or is not joining your portal. You could send them a viewer request, whereas that invite option to collaborate, that's going to be someone who uses Wise Agent. You can send them a join code so then they can watch your portal as well. So that's more so going to be that team leader broker. They might be watching your portal, so you can provide them with that join code. So then when they log into their Wise Agent account, they'll be able to see, any portals that they're managing, portals that they've joined, and then portals that they're watching, because they're going to be watching any of their agents' transactions. They can easily click on one of those portals to view where they're at with a specific buyer or seller that they're working with.
Yeah, I love that. And, I'd love to see, and kind of see in the chat here, how many of you are using something, and what are you using right now to kind of communicate some of these updates to your brokers, to your clients, like, because that's something I know when I've traveled around the country, just talking to agents and brokers, they've been using, kind of something where like, oh, I've got to stop in the middle of the day and kind of, copy and paste from the MLS and then, or download something and, send it a PDF and then send an email, and kind of, it stops your day. And that's, it's something that I feel like a lot of agents are looking to kind of not be so busy with busy work.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is still really important to have that communication. It just shouldn't tie you up where you're like, oh, right now, instead of writing out this lengthy email, I already wrote the notes in, but now I've got to put in pleasantries and all this other stuff, where it would be nice to just be able to say, okay, here's this. I put all my notes in here. So after every showing on a property that I'm selling, I put in the notes like, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer came by and they, loved this, but they hated the carpet, or they thought whatever, the price was too high. And then you can give them that real time kind of feedback on things without having to take out more time out of your day. You're going to put your notes in anyways. So now
Yeah.
having to do that whole entire email over and over and over again, with every showing or every whatever it is, every part of that transaction, it just gets done simply, and right away. So
Yes. And like Donna mentioned, she's doing that where she's sending that email to update her clients or update her broker, whoever it is, constantly. So instead of having to do that like email every day, it's that one email where you're inviting them to be a viewer, and you can customize that message for every viewer that you invite. When you come to that portal page to invite that viewer, you're able to customize that message. I mean, we already provide a message for you here, but you can go in there and say, bookmark this page.
right.
And so anytime you want to see what's going on with your listing, you're able to just click on that bookmark, and then you'll see those updates in real time. And from time to time, of course, you still want to keep that communication going. And so that's where you're going to log in, send a quick text to them and say, hey, just checking in, Michael. I wanted to make sure you saw those latest updates on your portal. And so then Michael knows, okay, I need to log in, see what's going on with, the listing that I have. But you don't have to take that time to type up that long email about the same notes that you just added into your portal page.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Mark also said that he sends out one email and with the accepted offer, and then a Google invite for each contingency deadline. And I think that's great to have those kind of Google calendars. I live off of my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it just won't get done. And so I do love that. But I also think that a lot of consumers like seeing like, okay, how many of these am I getting? Like, what is all of this? And, being able to see it kind of in one kind of shot, like, okay, these are all the things that we need to go through and start preparing, like, oh, okay, I need to get this ready, or I need to get that ready. Being able to give them that, and then using our checklist for everything else, all your other communications, to be able to, easily and, efficiently send out a message during some things. I know, during the whole transaction process is something really easily done, even from our checklist summary page with a click of a button, and then using our, maybe some of your content from your library, to just be automatically sent out. So that's also something that, that will be really easily done. And we are working on other things and more things to come in the future. I think, well, Brandon and I are going to be talking about what's coming up in 2023 at the end of this month. I think that's December 29th or 30th. We're having a webinar where Brandon and I will be talking about some of the things to come in 2023, which will be more about the transaction process, right? I mean, Camilla, this is how agents and brokers, this is how they get paid, is every transaction. It's kind of funny because we talk a lot on the webinar about building the relationships, which is a real big catalyst to getting you to the transaction table. If you're not building those relationships, it's really difficult to get to the transaction table. And once you get there, you just don't want anything falling apart. You want everyone being able to just be fully understanding of what the whole entire process is, and having that kind of big oversight view of what are all the things that I need to know.
Exactly.
Is really important.
Exactly. And I see a question here about, does your client get an alert each time that you update your portal page? I saw that question come up a few times. So right now, a great way of utilizing some kind of alerting system with your client is from the transaction checklist summary page. So for that portal that you created, from that checklist that you created a portal for, you'll be able to also send emails from that summary page. So you'll be able to come here, and using that unique link from that portal, you'll be able to schedule an email to go out to Michael. So if like I want to send like a weekly email, a recap every week of like, hey, Michael, thank you again, whatever it may be that you want to include in that message. And just so you can always click here on your portal to view all the updates. So you can schedule an email to go out to Michael, just so he knows. And you can even do it from his summary page. So you can even make it repeating every week, so it goes out to him with the link to that portal for his for his listing, so he knows, so, oh, okay, I can log in every day, just as a reminder, just so he knows every week you're sending him this email update. So you can schedule that to repeat to your client from the summary page of that contact.
Yeah. And so there are some new things coming up very soon with all of that. Oh, there we go. With all of the other content and some of the other things happening with the transactions, but definitely with the portals, one of the biggest things that we hear about all the time is being able to have that flexibility of the messaging, having the flexibility of who's seeing those messages and what they're able to see. And just, the biggest one was updating the look. And, after, 20 years, we needed to give that look some attention. And so that's what we did. What we did there with the transaction portal is just really giving it just an updated, refreshed look on things. So
exactly.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, so I was just going to say, I think what would be cool is to kind of show them how that process looks like from, an agent choosing to send an invite to one of their clients to view it. So then how that process is, and then I'll kind of show from the consumer's standpoint what I would need to do in order to view that portal webpage.
Yeah. Okay, so let me do that for you here. I'm going to share my screen. And so I'm going to go here to this other account, and I'm going to create a portal. And so it's really easy to use this portal. Is just, simply coming in here, setting it all up, putting in your message, selecting your portal theme, and then just really saving this.
Yeah.
And then once you save this, you can just add your viewers, edit your permissions and whatnot. I think Camilla did a great job of figuring that out, showing you how that works. And then you can come in here and, you can customize your message, customize your subject line. You can put in here, like, please bookmark this page. And then I could just easily select my contact for this transaction to send it to my client, so then they can see this. And then once I click on send here, that's when then they get that email. And I'll stop sharing my screen so Camilla can reshare her screen so you can see what happens from the client's perspective.
Yes. So now that Tracy Tudor, the agent, has sent that invite over to her client on the transaction, the client would then log into their email account because they've received an alert, whatever it may be, to check their email. So now on my email, I'm going to go ahead and click on that transaction update email that I received from my agent. I'm going to read that message, and then from here I can click to view my transaction status. So once I click on that option here to view transaction status, it's going to take me to a screen to set my password. So right here, it's going to ask me to set my password. So as the actual client consumer, I'm going to have a secure web portal access here. Mm-hmm. So then once I create that password, I'm going to go ahead and save my password. And then once I've saved my password, I'm going to go ahead and log into that portal. So then once I'm logged into that portal, I'm able to view those details here of that transaction. As the consumer, I'm able to view those details. I'm able to see what's been completed, and then any important documents that I want to download from this portal, I'm able to access. And like we mentioned before, in your message, you're going to include for them to bookmark this page. So then as a consumer, I know, okay, I'm going to star this because I want to stay in the know of what's going on with my transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and bookmark it. So then I have access to it at any time. I could just refer back to that portal webpage to download any of that information when I need to.
You'd want to bookmark the other tab though, right? The buyer one.
Yes.
Yes. That one. That's the tab that you'd want to bookmark.
Yeah. So
And then the consumer, so Camilla in this case, so I'm the agent in this case, and Camilla's the buyer. So Camilla would set that password. I don't set that password for her. She would set that and have to, remember it or use the, forgot password to set that. But that's how that would work. So then it's something that, again, the consumer would be able to bookmark this page and then just go back to it and refer back to it anytime. that is, anytime that they feel like, oh, I want to know, is there any updates? What's happening, right?
Exactly. And that's going to be for anyone who you share that. They're going to create their own unique login. Any viewer you invite will create their own unique login to access that portal.
Yeah. And I think that's a really, big thing for them to be able to feel that they're getting a page where they can come and view, and, they don't have any privileges to edit anything or add to it, but they're coming there to view what's happening and what steps are being taken to sell their property, or, to go on to the next step of buying that property. That would be that communication is done really seamlessly in that way, where there's not much being said other than, here, go look at this when you really want to.
Exactly. And I think the main thing too to kind of remember, it's not that we're telling you don't communicate with your clients, but you could take that time to, spend more time communicating on other things than just, oh, did an open house or did a showing. They can log in to see that on the portal, and then you can make other communications happen through your CRM, whether it be via text message, an email, whatever it may be. You can still use those tools to, connect with more clients too. So this is saving you time to be able to do that.
Yeah. And that's, really a good point, the saving of the time, because like we had mentioned earlier, it is, kind of you're taking some of that time to always be communicating in that one, like, here's what's happening. And then now you can just say, here's what's happening once, and kind of just leave that there. And then the rest of the time you're communicating to them about, and it's more about building that relationship, building that rapport, instead of giving them all those little fine details over the phone or over a text message, which would take you, kind of forever to keep texting back and forth,
Yeah.
right? Writing that up all over again, when you can do it in one way, and then just send a quick text message like, hey, what's going on? Here's, let me just tell you where we're at with this. Go ahead and go log into the portal and see all the updates that are happening, which is great, because then that can be done, kind of through either an admin or just even through a wise agent, kind of without having to be so involved in that process of getting that information out there.
Yes.
So, Camilla, I know, like, even for the way that we use it, right? So we use it here, I would say it's more, related to how agents and brokers might use it for, let's say, like, recruiting purposes, because this can be done for so many different things. Like, so you can upload, different documents, like, yes, they went through and they did, this is their license, this is this information, this is all of their stuff that they have. So then everyone is kind of in the know that needs to be in the know. And it's not, again, it's something that doesn't always have to be used between the agent and the consumer. It could be agent to agent, or broker agent, transaction coordinator. So what have you heard from our members that they're using it from? Like, what's their perspective on how some of our agents are using it?
Yeah, I think like what you just mentioned right now, I know there's a brokerage using our CRM software, and they are wanting to track, their agents, like especially new agent onboarding. They want to be able to track, okay, they have their license, they completed this course, this certification, and uploading that and sharing that with a broker, and not having, so if you're like the admin or the person in charge of training the agents, you want to make sure that you're able to communicate with the broker team leader what's going on with their agents. Have they completed this course? Have they completed this certification? Without always having to set an email update. You could just, for each agent that you have, you've of course created a template for each time you have a new agent onboarding. And now when you have a new agent, you have a new checklist for, agent John Doe. And anytime John Doe completes a course or gets a new certification, you're going to check those off as he completes those courses. You can upload any documents to that checklist and then share that portal over with, your broker, so they can be in the know and updated on, okay, John is completing his certifications, he's advancing, whatever it may be, they're able to track that within the portal. So that's another way of using it unrelated to the sale process.
Right. So let me just make sure I got this right, and because I want to make sure that we're clear about it for our viewers here. So it would be, so for me as the broker, I could create the checklist template that shows, okay, these are all the 10 things that I need you to do as you're a new agent in my office.
Yeah.
I need all of these things done. And it says in there, like, send me a copy of your license, send me a copy of this and that and the other thing. Make sure that you get, this document sent over to me. And then I share that over to you in Wise Agent, and then you upload the document. You also create that join code and you send it to me. So now I can watch it and see, oh, okay, so this is where this agent is at and they're doing all of these steps. And then I can send that gentle reminder like, hey, you never submitted this, or you didn't submit that, and I need a copy of that.
Yeah, yes. So the way that I've seen it happen, and with a specific brokerage, it's the broker wants to stay in the loop. So the director of operations of that brokerage is the one that's creating these checklists, and she has her admin actually doing it for her to keep track of where those new agents are as far as the onboarding process goes. So that's what's happening, is that director of operations, she has her Wise Agent account, her admin is working in the account with her, and they've created these templates anytime there's a new agent. It's a new agent onboarding template, and they're using that to track anytime they have a new agent. They'll create a checklist using that template, and then they'll be able to create that portal now and share that to the broker so they can stay updated on all of those courses that are being completed by that agent. And they use, they have the course tracker, and they're able to check that off for any course and any certification that agent has acquired.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So, so many different ways of using it for so many different things, from the consumer standpoint, from the transaction coordinator standpoint, and then from broker to agent standpoint as well.
Yeah.
So I love that. It's multifaceted in that way. So, yeah, and I know there was several questions that were being asked, but prior to the webinar, we always ask everyone to submit some of their questions. And so one of them was, do we have any templates for people to start off with these, with the checklist? And I think that's a really important question, something really important for everyone to know, that because it can be a daunting task. Like, okay, what are all the things? Especially I saw as we were starting the Zoom call here today, there were several people that were like, oh, I'm a new agent. As a new agent, sometimes it's daunting to say, I don't know what, maybe I've never been through a transaction, so I don't know all the things that we need to do. Can you share with the templates that we have? Yeah,
definitely. So sometimes having at least a starting point, that's really helpful for the agents. So in Wise Agent, we have under that transactions dropdown, we have our templates section here where you can see all of the different real estate transaction templates that we've already pre-designed for you. If you're working with your brokerage and they are using Wise Agent to offer it to all the agents within the brokerage, they can also create, as a broker, you can create templates that your agents will have access to through the CRM. So here are some of the templates that you can see here, like the seller one / listing template, where you can keep track of that transaction. We've kind of set those fields of what you would need in a listing transaction. So, your critical dates or your deadlines, all those important fields that you would want to keep track of, and then those tasks. So those to-do items that need to be completed throughout that transaction process. And then of course, all of those important contacts that you're going to be in correspondence with during that transaction process. And like everything else in the system, these templates are customizable. So if you feel like you need to add to it, you're able to do that. So if you feel like you need to add more tasks to that the checklist portion, or more contacts that you would be in correspondence with during a listing transaction, you're able to edit these templates and customize them.
Yeah, I love that, because that's also like a great starting off point. So it's a jumping off point for you to start somewhere and then just add to that, and adding to whatever templates that you have to start off with, kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility to just start your own things. Let's see. One other question that we have is, how easy is it to access this portal? So kind of went over that, where, just giving them the option to bookmark it and be able to go back to that. But you can always, send them, because they would be able to log into the portal as the agent themselves and get that URL.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then be able to send that off as a text or in an email, even create like a nice little call to action button for them to be able to say, log into your portal here. So you could even create it for, like within your emails to be able to embed that link into a button so then they can always access it at any point whenever you're sending them an email. And then, does this work out of the country? So one of the questions is, does this work in Australia? Does it work in Europe? Was another. So absolutely, it does work anywhere else. So, it's not confined to just the US. So anyone can use the Wise Agent and even the portal itself.
Yes. Yeah. Great
All right.
questions.
Yeah. Definitely. So can some of the tasks be hidden so they, they're not seeing like, oh, ask my, broker if I can do this, or call the, termite inspection. They don't need to see all of that when you're going to be doing all of that, right? But some of those things that would be set through the permissions, right?
Exactly. So that's easy for you to do, where you just go to that permissions page in your Wise Agent account to then set those portal permissions. And it's just a quick little toggle or a checkbox of what items you want them to see. So you'll be able to do that here. And then there's the settings where, if let's say future tasks that are added, if you want those to be visible, or future documents or transaction notes, you can set a default setting whether you want those on or off. So then you're not having to go in there each time. And anytime you have a new document that you're uploading into the system, that you have to mark it as, visible. So you do have an option here to set a default setting for those items.
But you can choose which notes they actually see though, right?
Exactly, you can.
Yeah.
So over here is that at the very bottom of the checklist page where you see all those notes. So right here where it says transaction notes, then you'll be able to select what items you want visible on your actual checklist portal page.
Yeah, because that would be, we definitely don't want to cause any embarrassment if there's a note in there like, oh, this is going to pod or something, this is not going well. You definitely don't want to share that with your clients if that's, the case. So you definitely can choose which ones they can see. So that's a great question too, because we don't want to cause any of that embarrassment.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so another question is, if you're in the middle of an escrow and something changes, can you change the template without redoing the entire, inputting of the existing forms and everything in place? So if you edit, so what I would do, and Camilla, tell me if I'm wrong on this, I would change, like, so if you're changing your checklist, you don't want to change your whole entire checklist template. You would be able to like hide certain tasks or add new ones in there. So let's say I had a task in there that was something that's dated or something that's not needed anymore. I would just simply go from my checklist template and hide that one task. So if I don't need to, I don't know, add some form, then I can just hide that from the template. So if you go to the gear and click on edit template, then you can edit that so it doesn't, it's not shown any longer.
Yeah.
In this portion as well as on the portal.
Definitely. I would say one other way to go about that as well, especially if it's a task, is just putting NA if it's not related to this specific checklist. So if, let's say, it's something that might happen with another listing, that like it might be pertaining to another listing, so you don't want to necessarily modify what's on that other listing transaction that you have, you can always come here and put NA on that that field. And then when you're on that portal page, that's where you want to make sure that that item is not selected, that it's not viewable on your portal. So then that portion is not seen. And then, so for the consumer, you're going to make sure on the portal permission that you have that item unselected. And then for you as the agent working in Wise Agent, you can come in here and put, this item does not apply to this specific transaction.
Okay. And so someone's clarifying, saying, okay, so what happens if a deadline gets extended? Can you change the due dates?
Yes. So you can change the due dates, and that's going to be, again, on your checklist within Wise Agent. You just log into that checklist, and then you're able to update the critical dates here. So, and to clarify, the checklist is what you'll be working off of as the agent or as the professional using the CRM. You're using the checklist. So all of any of the items that you're completing, any of the documents you're uploading, any of the fields that you're filling in, you're doing that from the checklist summary page in Wise Agent, while that portal is serving as an updated page for your client or the consumer. So you're not going to be using that portal as the agent. That portal page is specifically to keep all other parties involved in the transaction up to date on what you're doing in your account in the checklist.
Okay. Yeah. And so, so a couple of things here, I think too, to clarify. So the critical dates that can be changed at any time. Those due dates that are calculated, on the tasks, those, I mean, it depends on, how they're being calculated, if they're like ASAP or if they're, certain number of days. There are times, and if they're not already, checked off, you can change those dates to be, so you can extend, like, when do I have to order the, does that say sign writer, or the flyer box? So you can extend those particular dates and say, okay, I'm going to extend this out to this particular date or that particular date. So you can do that as well.
Yes.
So different meanings for different things. We I want to be, as broad and general, but also as specific as possible when getting some of these things done. So yeah,
definitely.
So that's how that would work. Those are great questions. I mean, they're in my mind too, you know how it works, Camilla. I'm always thinking, okay, so how could we improve? How could we add some things? I mean, a couple of things that I heard. One was the, giving permissions giving permissions to different people. Well, the alerts, I kind of already have a solution for that.
Okay.
So that'll be coming out soon enough, but that's something that we're working on. But the managing multiple permissions for for different people. I think that's one that I really love seeing. And if you guys have any other suggestions, I love hearing that. And I love hearing how you use it, how you use the system, and how to your benefit, right? Because this is a solution that we're building for you all, right? And so that's why a huge reason on why we travel as much as we travel is to get to know everyone and find out, like, what are your pain points? So then we can come back here to the office and kind of engineer and fix those up, and solve those problems and those pain points for you. So, so that's a neat thing. I always love hearing how people are using it. So
definitely. Yeah.
All righty.
Awesome.
Well, we're getting close to time here. I know next week I will be back on the webinar on Tuesday. I think that's, so just in a few days here on December 20th, I will be joined by my good friend Marky Lemons. We're going to be talking about how to market, some marketing tools and tips for foreclosures and short sales. We've kind of this is our part 2 of the webinar that Marky and I had. I think it was last month that she and I were on talking about how to handle and educate that your clients going through a foreclosure or short sale. So that we'll be doing on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So that would be something, and I'm just seeing all these. There's some questions in here about integrations with .loop and SkySlope. So we do integrate with, and ZipForms Plus. So we do integrate with ZipForms Plus and .loop, as well as Brokerment, DocuSign. Do we have another one, Camilla?
Yeah, I think you mentioned all of them. SkySlope, .loop, Brokerment.
Yeah. So some more integrations coming in 2023. But if you guys are really curious as to what's happening in 2023, join me and Brandon on the 30th of December, right, Sarah? She put the page for upcoming webinars, because I never remember dates. That's why I need a calendar and a CRM. So something else can remind me all the time. But yeah, so that would be when we're going to be talking, Brandon and I are going to be talking about everything coming up in 2023 and kind of wrapping up 2022. So I'm excited for that one. And I think those are the 2 webinars that we have for the remainder of the year. And then January 4th, we have another one starting off the year in 2023. So I'm excited for that. Glad that everyone was able to join us today. Thanks so much, Camilla, for joining and sharing so much information with us today. I appreciate you.
Yes, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yes, I appreciate your time. And so
Yes.
thank you, Sarah, in the background there, answering all the questions and posting all the things there so that you were posting. Thank you. Appreciate it. And appreciate you all, and hope to see you guys on Tuesday. And let us know any of your feedback on transaction portals and how we can continue to improve that. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.